I am successfully going for a run today, hopefully. Well, I've been wanting to go for a run for the last week and it's just not happened. But today, OMG. So pleased they did that though. Right, I gotta get cracking because we are running seriously late. Yeah, I know it's a bit dirty, isn't it, Jasper? I'm gonna fix it though. So, new plan. Basically I spoke to my mum and it's so late, there's probably no point us going today. So what we're gonna do instead is try and spend Sunday with them next week after the go-karting, and because we'll be up in that direction anyway, and we'll just stay here today. You need to go do some shopping for tomorrow anyway. If you can take Jasper with you, I'm gonna go and grab a bucket and some mitts and try and wash my car. Because last time I totally failed. Jasper, we're not going to see Gigi and Grandpa today, Mr. Cool Dude. Instead, we're going to stay home. But it's okay, because your buddy's coming round tomorrow.
That is really boring.
You know, it probably isn't the end of the world that we're not going to go see my parents today, because I was going to actually make this. I've stopped the solar vlogging now, because when I got back after seeing Mark yesterday, there just wasn't time to charge things up, and you know, because I used my laptop quite a lot to do heavy rendering on GoPro Fusion footage, which isn't great in terms of energy saving. Good news is the sun is out, and it was quite a good place to sort of stop it, because after all that time it has basically recharged everything. So the solar vlogging actually worked really well, and a bit later I'm going to talk through what I feel like I've learned from the experience. Almost fully charged over there. This one will be fully charged because I've not used it for a few days. Yeah, that's fully charged. So that's generating about 145 watts, which isn't bad in November, the end of November, from about 180 watts worth of solar panels. Can't really expect a lot more than that, to be honest. So, boom. You need the batteries to get you through the darker days when you generate some power, but not a lot. And then the sun comes along again, because it's never dark forever. Provided Sauron doesn't get hold of the One Ring, it won't be dark forever. Certainly, if you were to scale this up and coat the whole of the UK with solar panels on the roofs of every building and batteries in the basement of every building, I genuinely do think we would be 90% self-sufficient from an electricity point of view. Maybe not from a heating point of view, but like I said, we'll have a bit of a look at the numbers as I sort of remember them. They're rough numbers, there's nothing massively scientific going on, but I am going to try and err on the side of caution with them. So hopefully it should be like a worst case scenario from a numerical standpoint.
No, I want...
Okay. See you later. Right, I'm gonna head off and get the bits I need in order to hopefully clean this car properly. Oh, jeez. Freezing. I'm definitely gonna wear a proper coat when I clean this car. In fact, I'm gonna wear a proper coat now. That's more like it. Wow, when I got in the car, there was limited top power, limited regen, and it was using almost 10 kilowatts to try and get the battery at a decent level. And I've just seen a Tesla go by, which is the second one I've seen on this journey in the last 10 minutes, which is very encouraging because, you know, it hopefully means there's more and more electric cars out there, or at least more and more Teslas out there. So, speaking of Tesla, I've just found out on Twitter that Elon Musk has got his 100 megawatt, 129 megawatt hour Southern Australian power bank, whatever you want to call it, grid storage. It's installed. So in the next few days, the sort of government grid people down there are going to test it and make sure it all works properly and it's appropriate for being connected to the national grid, and presumably the Australian government are then going to pay for it, because of course this was that bet thing where they had to install it in 100 days or Tesla would give it to them for free. Well, it looks like they're going to have to pay. Kind of ties in quite nicely with what I was saying about, you know, solar panels and batteries. You know, this is one way of doing it. You can have a great big government project to install it. The reality is, if you do great big government projects, it's probably going to wind up being quite a slow process to install any kind of scale. The great thing about doing it on an individual per home basis is you can roll the cost of that up within the cost of the home, and the person that owns the place doesn't really lose out, because all they're doing is paying the utility company for paying the finance on their solar panels and batteries. And the experience I've had over the last week powering my vlog from solar panels, it works out roughly like this. I reckon I've used about 0.5 kWh a day on editing and battery charging and keeping my phone charged. You know, I've added it up roughly in my head, you know, 8 or 9 recharges of about 50 watt hours into the portable battery bank that then charges the laptop and keeps that running. And then I've got also my phone to add into that as well, and cameras. The phone and the cameras, that probably only adds up to about 30 watt hours, probably over an entire day, probably not even that. So, you know, I reckon 500, you know, 0.5 kWh, that's roughly the amount of power I was using per day. And I had 180 watts worth of solar panels out in the wimpy November sun, but of course quite a few of the days have been cloudy. There have been some sunny days, and what I've worked out is that at least, provided you have some sunny days, some cloudy days, the battery that I've got is of a reasonable capacity to keep things running. So if we scale this up and we say that the house is going to use 20 kilowatt hours over a 24-hour period, which is, you know, reasonable. I'm sure I've heard people say that's reasonable. Maybe less reasonable for me because of running the car, but let's forget about that for now. So that means I would need about 7 kilowatts of solar panels plus at least 20 kilowatt hours worth of batteries, and then I should be able... No, I would need 40 kilowatt hours of batteries, wouldn't I? Well, I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get 26 kilowatt hours installed, but I do have the car as well. But the problem is I can't get the power out of the car, which is why I think if you've got a car with a really big battery, it kind of makes sense to have it integrated into your home energy storage where possible. But as a sort of rough estimation, I'm not going to have the batteries necessary to stay off-grid all winter, but I probably am going to have the solar panels, assuming I actually get my solar panels installed, which is a big if, because the planning people are still sitting on it. Almost there now, and I'm going to get a couple of buckets, hopefully, some gravel traps, hopefully lamb's wool mitts, although they probably won't have those, so it'll just be microfiber mitts. They'll be fine. I'm sure there's something else I need as well. Oh yeah, I'm going to get a brush as well, because I need a fairly tough bristle brush that I can use to get the mud, the ground in mud, off the grip tape on my electric skateboard. So do a little bit of cleaning supply purchasing this afternoon, and then if there's enough time later this afternoon, I will try and get the car actually clean, which is a big if, because the sun is dropping like a stone, which is one of the reasons why it is so difficult to generate enough electricity to get by in winter. In summertime, those solar panels and the 1 kilowatt hours worth of lead acid storage that's in the summer house powers all my garden machinery. There's like literally no way to get the thing to run down virtually. You use it all night long. It's brilliant, but this isn't summer. Wow, this place is busy. I guess that's the whole Saturday after Black Friday thing. Literally taking me about 15 minutes to find a space. Hopefully I'll be able to get the car clean with all that lot. Right, the race is on, the sun's going down. First thing to do is to get this mud off here, because it's annoying me. Stick of silicone stuff. I charged it last night, so I just want to run the battery down a bit. that thing's amazing, but I'm supposed to be cleaning a car. I'm fascinated to know what this is going to look like in the morning. Unfortunately, the light's completely gone, so we can't see now. You know what would make this a good deal easier? If this wasn't like the first car I washed in about 30 years. I already know like about 5 things I'm going to do differently next time. I just hope it doesn't look absolutely awful when the sun comes up. Because the problem with nighttime is it could look like anything. I'm saying goodnight now because Soph's coming back and it's Saturday night and all the rest of it. I hope you've enjoyed today's vlog post. If you have, remember to like it, share it and subscribe if you haven't already, and follow me on Instagram if you don't already, and I will see you tomorrow for the next instalment of my daily vlog. Bye! Despite the fact that I would more or less liken this to cruel and unusual punishment, I can actually see how making your car look nice could get addictive. Ooh. Luckily I don't have an addictive personality, so I'll be fine.